For over half a century, global superpower strategy relied on an operational framework known as DIME, encompassing diplomacy, information, military, and economics. It was the blueprint for 20th century dominance, designed for an era that is beginning to short-circuit. Historically, a major power could enforce its will by cutting a rival's access to global markets. But as global trade networks diversify, unilateral sanctions are increasingly met with calculated resistance over capitulation. Many nations are now settling trade in local currencies and moving capital through alternative clearing networks. As shown here at the 15th BRICS Summit, these states are successfully constructing a parallel financial infrastructure that functions entirely outside the traditional dollar-based system. At the same time, the information pillar is eroding. Superpowers no longer hold a monopoly on the gathering or the projection of strategic intelligence. Today, commercial synthetic aperture radar satellites and open-source intelligence networks provide targeting-grade data 24/7. These sensors see through cloud cover and total darkness, making it impossible to hide the location of a runway, a fuel depot, or a troop deployment. This loss of top-down secrecy is compounded by agile, viral digital media. Regional actors can now challenge state narratives in real time, dismantling carefully crafted diplomatic messaging with decentralized counter-propaganda that circulates frictionlessly. When economic coercion fails and absolute secrecy is physically impossible, the utility of maintaining a global network of static, forward-deployed bases reaches a limit. It forces a complete reassessment of how a nation calculates its defense. Today, there is a growing gap between the cost of offensive power and the reality of modern defense. Investing billions into massive forward-deployed assets often creates more vulnerability than protection. Take a multi-billion-dollar nuclear submarine or a capital ship. In an era of transparent oceans and persistent satellite tracking, these large, centralized platforms become high-value targets that are difficult to hide and expensive to replace. This creates an unsustainable cost imbalance. A single submarine costing billions can be overwhelmed by autonomous drones costing $20,000 each. One side burns through months of industrial production to stop an attack costing a fraction of that. An alternative is a strategy of sovereign defensive sea denial. Instead of attempting to control distant coastlines, a military can focus on denying an adversary access to its own territorial waters, using dispersed networks of small attack craft, uncrewed surface vessels, and smart minefields. Shifting from offensive expeditionary missions to coastal denial allows a nation to achieve a robust defense at a fraction of the cost, without positioning vulnerable targets that could trigger an escalation. This leads us to the most dangerous liability, the nuclear arsenal. For decades, disarmament treaties have stalled because of the information barrier paradox. To prove a warhead is being dismantled, inspectors have to verify its internal core. But looking inside would reveal classified design data, violating non-proliferation laws and compromising national security. Now, a scientific breakthrough from Princeton University finally provides a way out. It's a physical zero-knowledge protocol that authenticates a weapon without ever recording its internal dimensions. Inspectors project fast neutrons through the warhead onto a non-electronic detector, preloaded with a negative radiograph of a reference weapon. If authentic, the particles cancel the template into uniform random noise, proving it's real without leaking a single design secret. Because we can now mathematically verify the presence of a nuclear core without seeing it, the primary technical excuse for avoiding disarmament has been eliminated. This sequence provides a blueprint for a transition toward abolition. Phase I focuses on operational risk reduction, de-alerting forces, and enacting no first-use pledges to move potential response times from 15 minutes to several days. Phase 2 and 3 involve capping arsenals and making deep reductions to the total number of warheads. This drawdown is designed to pull global stockpiles below the threshold where even a limited exchange could trigger a catastrophic nuclear winter. The final phase is verified global zero. Total dismantlement would be overseen by international audits using zero-knowledge technology to ensure every warhead is accounted for. We are at a crossroads. Clinging to 20th century models of forward dominance and nuclear coercion increases the likelihood of a strategic collapse. By embracing a strategy of sovereign defensive denial and mathematically verified disarmament, we can neutralize the risks of the past and secure our survival in the 21st century.